Welcome to the This Mum Loves Tech podcast, the go-to show for female business owners who want to simplify tech and get the support they need to grow their online businesses with confidence. I'm Nicola Walsh, your podcast host. I'm also a mum to two cheeky boys and I love tech, so you don't have to. I'm here to share actionable tips, tools and strategies that will help you streamline your business and make the tech work for you. So whether you're watching after the kids have gone to bed or listening while on the school run, let's dive into today's episode and make tech that little bit easier. Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of This Mum Loves Tech. Today I've got Gail Morgan joining me from Gail Morgan Style. She has done a brilliant masterclass for the ladies of the This Mum Loves Tech membership, and I had to bring her on to share a little bit more about her and kind of her top tips for making a great first impression, because we know how important first impression is. So first off, Gail, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, pleasure to be here.
And before we get into some of your top tips, just tell us a little bit more about you, and kind of would love to know like how you got into personal styling and kind of your journey with it.
Okay, so I have been doing this a very long time now, but I found out about colour analysis initially. My mum had her colours done around 1990 and made a massive difference to her life. You know, it really did. It completely transformed how she dressed, and she just loved it, and it made life so much simpler for her because she'd never really been interested in clothes and fashion before, but suddenly she did. And I worked in retail at the time, so I was a manager for C&A, if you remember them. And I guessed I'd be the same as mum, so I started wearing the right colours. Because I am so fair. If I wear something that's not good colour for me, I look tired, I look ill, you know, they'd be telling me to go and have a lie down. And as I'd spent most of my life with people asking me if I felt okay, it was such a revelation when they say, "Oh, you look really well today." It'd be like, "Oh, thank you," you know. So it gave me confidence. And so when I found out I was pregnant with my son, I decided to train because the hours in retail were just diabolical and we didn't even have Sunday trading then. And so I trained to be an image consultant, colour consultant at the time. I have since developed that and I've done all sorts of things with my training. So I worked for John Lewis, helping set up their fashion advisory service. I've been president of our professional body in the UK and been on the board in the USA version. And I now train people to be image consultants, personal stylists, colour consultants through my online courses. So wherever you are in the world, you can train. So yeah, that's been that's a little snapshot of what I do. And I work with individuals, mainly women, but some men as well, and just really getting them to think about their professional image when they go out and meet people, and just so that they reflect their true personality. I think that's the most important thing. And they feel comfortable and confident in the clothes that they're wearing.
No, that's so lovely to hear that you was inspired by something that happened with your mum. And yeah, I never thought about that before, that when people say things they're like, oh, you don't, and you're fine. And you're like, oh, why have they said that? But actually, yeah, it could just be down to the colour of the clothes that you're wearing that's just like making your complexion
Absolutely.
look right.
You know, if I put black on, you may as well just cart me off because I just look so terrible.
Oh, bless you. Well, and I think that leads nicely into kind of the main thing that I really wanted to talk about today is the importance of first impressions, and how it's not just about what you say, it's how you come across and you appear visually to people as well, like whether it's online or in person. So I would love for you to maybe highlight from a kind of look point of view why it is that looks do matter.
Yeah. Well, as you know, first impressions really do count because as human beings, we are hot wired to believe what we see. It goes back to that sort of fight or flight. Do we go towards a dinosaur or run away? And so we make all sorts of value judgments and expectations about people based on how they look. And that isn't done to be mean or nasty. It's just one of those things. You know, you make that decision as to whether you're going to approach them. You think they're friendly. You think they're trustworthy. You think they're how they present themselves is how you expected them to look for their job role or for their business. And I think as business owners, we are intrinsically wrapped up in our brand image. Our personal image becomes that as well. And so those values are going to be replicated. And so if we don't look like what someone would expect us, certainly as an image consultant, if I don't look like, if I haven't, washed my hair or done putting makeup on, or put a decent pair of shoes on, then people are going to think, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't think I could trust her to do this. And likewise, there's all sorts of, if there was a gardener and they didn't have a little bit of dirt under their fingernails, then I wouldn't believe that they could do what they did. So it's horses for courses. It's not that we should all be suited and booted. It's what's relevant for your business, your industry, and what your clients would expect to see when they meet you.
Yeah, I think it's very important. We're not talking about like looks matter isn't how you physically your face looks at all. What we're talking about is that overall impression. And I love that example with the gardener. Like, you wouldn't expect to see a gardener in a suit, because you would think, well, you've clearly not actually been in a garden and done any like manual labor for ages. You would expect them to be a little bit rough and ready around the edges, because they're doing manual labor. But on the flip side of that, someone who is maybe a lawyer or works in a kind of banking or something like that, you would expect them to have that more crisp and tailored look, because that's the kind of thing that you want to have that trust in them from. And if they turned up with dirt in their fingers and all that kind of stuff, you'd be like, do I really want to hand over my money to you?
Exactly. So it's about trust. And I remember speaking to this guy who was an IFA. So imagine he's going to be selling mortgages and pensions and that sort of thing. And I said, come dressed as you would do as if you were going to meet a client. And how often what I say to clients is, what 3 words would you like people to believe about you? And he said, oh, I want to be in control, professional, and knowledgeable. All great attributes you would think for an IFA. But he came in and his hair needed cutting, his shoes needed throwing away, not just cleaning, because they were all scuffed up and horrible. He had a pencil case in his top pocket, and he had a stain down his tie. So it was kind of like, so I just said to him, well, do you think that those people are going to think you're in control if you can't get yourself dressed? And he said, I never, ever thought about that. I just went in thinking I was relaxed and comfortable, and they would see that that's my persona. I said, well, you probably just tipped over to the wrong side of that. So it was all very friendly, but it was a real wake-up call for him to realize that. Because, you were saying about the statistics, we do make those decisions very, very quickly. There's been studies around since the 1970s about the impression that we make, and those sort of first impressions can be made up from our appearance. So that can be our body language and how we look. It's our voice, so that can be the tone of the voice or your accent, and then what we say. But actually, 55% of that impact that we make on someone is the first part, is the first impression, is the appearance and how we look. And only 7% is what we actually say. So we spend so much time thinking about, oh, I've got to get my minute right if I'm going to the networking meeting, or I've got to get this right, or whatever. But actually, if you don't look what someone would expect you to look like, you've lost it. And it can take up to 21 more interactions to sort of dispel that bad first impression.
Wow.
So it's incredible, because that seed of doubt has been sown. There's a disconnect there somewhere. There's no congruency between what your website says and what you look like. And and again, if your profile photo isn't up to date and you look completely different now, then they've got to kind of go, you the same person I've been looking online?
Yeah.
And because we're so visual now, in the past it was a few seconds it takes to make that first impression. Now it's negligible, because we're used to swiping left or right, or just looking at someone and just making that instantaneous decision. And again, we're not doing it to be mean or nasty. You're just following that gut reaction, and that's what we're dealing with. So we've got to be aware of it. And so what can we do? Think about how we dress for the day that we've got ahead and the people that we're going to meet. That's the most important thing.
When you're saying about that, I instantly get flashbacks of online dating and how there was so many times where what the profile photo was not the person you ended up meeting. And I just you'd instantly know within, like, as soon as you met them, that that wasn't going to work, because you're like, if you can't even be truthful. I mean, the worst, I had it to happen twice where guys said they were like 6 foot tall, and then I met them and they were my height. I'm 5'2". I'm not a tall person. So, like, what? Why are you going to lie about that? Because as soon as I see you, I know that you're not telling the truth. So what else have you not told the truth about? It's just things
Exactly.
like that. Like, if your profile photo is like 20 years old, I think you said that about in the masterclass about knowing someone that's got an old photo, like, it instantly just puts that distrust up if you then meet them and you're like, well, clearly you're lying, because that's not what you look like now. And again, it's not about physically what you look like. It's just the fact of that trust, especially online. We have only got like these brief squares to make that impression to people. So it's like being conscious of even the images of the photos you're putting out. Like, is this putting across the right impression of what you want get people to look like? Now, with mine, people know that I'm a mum, I've got 2 boys. So sometimes, I will put a little selfie on and my hair will be a bit all over the place, or, you know, but that is, I
It's
think,
real.
actually enhancing my brand and my message that I am
Absolutely.
doing this while having small children. So sometimes these like flaws are actually an okay thing, because that's the look and the kind of impression I want to get across, is sometimes things are a bit wild and a bit crazy, and this is how it looks.
And that's absolutely fine because that's what you're selling, and and that's key. And so you come across as real and authentic and genuine, and this is what it is. And then we all go, oh yeah, been there, done that. Yes, I can relate to Nicola. That she's going to understand. So that is kind of enhancing your brand. But if you were doing something else that was, I can't even think off the top of my head what that would be, but that might not be appropriate at all to do that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no,
it's
exactly.
just thinking ahead and thinking, the way I'm presenting myself or putting that photo out or what I'm saying, is that part of the brand, the corporate brand as well, and is my personal brand helping with that? Or is it
Yeah,
going to, do something that's going to put a chink in the armor almost?
yeah, that is such a great point. So when it comes to like how we would style ourselves, have you got any kind of like top tips of things that you would say what people should be thinking about when they are putting that outfit together?
Yes. So obviously, I would say think about color. Think about a good color that's going to be by your face that complements you and gives a pop of color. Accessorize, because as women we generally don't accessorize enough. So whether that's a nice statement necklace, or whether it's a scarf, or whether it's a pair of glasses. So especially online, glasses are great because they're a good focal point. And think about your grooming. So make sure you've got clean hair and nails, apart unless you're a gardener, obviously. But all those things. So it's all the little extra bits that kind of make the whole, that could be, just could destroy the whole impression if you're not careful. Because men always go, oh, well, we've got to make sure they've got shiny shoes. I mean, how relevant that is any longer, I don't know. But men of a certain age will always say that's their kind of benchmark. They'll look at a man's shoes, and if they're not shiny, then that he could be the best person in the world, but if he stepped in a puddle, he's at it. So but that's their criteria, if you like, and everyone is going to have their criteria, but they might not be consciously aware of what it is. I think certainly online, think about your accessorizing, and again when you're out as well, think about accessorizing, because it brings a focal point to your face.
And that's what you want to draw people to your face and what you're saying, because if people are else the eyes are elsewhere, they're not focused on what it is you're actually saying, and you take more in if you are looking at their mouth as well as or their
Absolutely.
eyes, and the kind of emotion they're trying to get across with something. And if your eyes are diverted elsewhere because there's something else that they're I think one of the things you were saying is if someone has like talking about shiny shoes, but if they had really bright shoes on that made your eye go down to their feet, you then wouldn't be concentrating so much on what it is that they're saying. You'd be too distracted by by what's going on with their feet. So it's important to do things that you know, keep people's focus on what you're saying. One of the tips you mentioned in the masterclass, which I don't mind me sharing because I thought it was brilliant, is where to stick your badge when you go networking. That kind of leads into keeping that focus. So can you just tell us a little bit more about what your tips are of
Okay.
that name badge?
So if you're going to a networking meeting or any sort of meeting where they hand you that delightful badge, then you want to stick it on your right shoulder up high. So if you've got a jacket on, you can put it on a lapel or put it high up here. Because the reason for that is if you are introduced to someone and you shake their hand, then it means that they are going to look along your arm and at your badge. So they haven't got any reason to look anywhere else. If you stick it on your left shoulder, they've got to look across your chest and that sort of thing. And you might have to put your handbag on on the opposite shoulder to you normally do if you put it on here. But if they've got to look here, then they're looking across your chest. If you put it here in your cleavage, which I have seen happen, then they've got to look at your cleavage. And so it's not maybe where you want people to be looking. So always think it's professional. Are you shaking someone's hand? Go high and right.
And it closes that distance between your eyes and what there is that they're focusing on, because if they just met you, they want to know what your name is and maybe what your business name is, which is what that badge is telling them. But then it's also keeping them focused on what it is you're saying, and as you're introducing yourself, they're not like trying to fight with each other. They're in the
Yeah,
same.
they're not trying to. It's just an easy access here to see what you are, so then they can look straight into your eyes and into your face and talk to you. Whereas if they're distracted and got to look somewhere else and fight their way past a scarf or a necklace if you're wearing it, or your handbag, then you've got to think where's that going to be. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a brilliant tip. I love that one. So when it comes to, you said you started with like color analysis, and what does a color analysis actually involve? Because
Okay.
I've heard it mentioned before. I've not ever had one myself, and I think it'd just be really interesting to kind of maybe if you could explain to us like the process of what happens.
I'm just trying to think if I've got something a wrong color in front of me, but I haven't. So basically what happens is you come to see me, I ask you a few questions, and then I drape lots of different colours underneath your face. And so it's like a process of elimination. So I compare different colours to whittle down to the best colours for you. And so at the end of it all, here's something I've prepared earlier. At the end of it all, you get a swatch, which is, so this is mine. So I can wear all of these sort of colours and colours related to those. And then what you do is you can hold it up against what you are thinking of wearing, and hopefully you can see that that all kind of sinks in. So it's not about matching, it's about getting the right colour. So basically I flick all these different colours underneath your face, we eliminate them down, and then you get a group of colours which you then can use to sort out your wardrobe so that you start to get all the right colours in there, and that makes coordinating your clothes and creating outfits much easier. And also when you go shopping, it stops you buying things that are in the wrong palette. So, I don't have anything mustard or black or brown or orange in my wardrobe because it doesn't go with any of the colours in my wallet.
Oh, it's so interesting you say that, because I for my birthday last year, I asked for some money to go shopping because I wanted to get out of the kind of mum look. I was very much think I'd spent the last like 5 years kind of very much mum wardrobe, leggings, baggy jumpers, anything that was just easy to, move around with the kids. And I wanted to kind of get myself a business look, like you were saying, so that when I went to all these networking events, and I did get myself a pair of brown trousers, and I've never worn them. And I think that's because potentially I feel like I may have a similar color palette to you, but again, I said I've never done it before, so I'm not 100% sure. But I always go back to navy.
Mm.
I much prefer wearing navy. I feel much more comfortable in navy than black or brown. I think black just looks for me too harsh. And like I said, I've never had a color analysis done, but it's just interesting how you were saying like you don't have black or you know, brown in your wardrobe. And I was like, yeah, I bought these brown trousers and I just can't find anything to go with them. You were saying about,
But equally, because the brown might not be, the brown might be right, but you don't have any other colours in your wardrobe at the moment that go with it. So they become that orphan piece that you can't find anything to go with. And so, but actually, you could wear that top with brown trousers. It's not so bad so much. And it's not like when someone has it done that they have to throw their whole wardrobe out. Because if you've got something that's the wrong colour, it's what you put the colour, another colour with it, so that the colour that's right by your face is the best colour. That's really what it is. So, if I had a pair of black trousers, that's not the end of the world, because I obviously can put different colours with it. But if I had a black polo neck jumper, or an orange one, that's a bit too much, because there's nothing I can do to kind of hide that. So that would be on the no pile. But there's lots of things that you can wear for now. But then as you shop in the future, then you start to introduce the right colours, and so that everything suddenly magically works together. And it is incredible when you look at, a wardrobe that I've done for the client, or look at mine, you can see how everything tones beautifully together, and that, oh, I could try that with that, or I could try that with that, or that, so you actually end up with fewer clothes, but many, many more options, because you're not just restricted to particular outfits, because they all mix and match.
yeah, I think it's that not having that overwhelm in the morning of having to choose what are you going to wear, because only, you might have a certain top, goes with only a certain pair of trousers, and one's in the wash, which means you can't wear the other one. If it all works in harmony together, it then doesn't matter what is where.
Yeah, exactly. So and I'm not saying you never say I have nothing to wear, or I don't know what to wear, but it does, you have got a lot more choice in your options, and it's not just, oh yeah, as you say, that's in the wash, what am I going to do now?
Thank you so much for kind of clearing that up, because it's something I've always wanted. I've seen people do I have seen the coloured drape thing,
Yeah.
but it's like,
And then we talk, and then we can talk about makeup colors, we can talk about glasses colors, we talk about hair color, so that the idea is that everything you wear in this upper bit here. So as I said, if the color that's right for you reflects into your face, and so that your jewelry, your makeup, your hair color, your eye color, your glasses color, sorry, are all working together, then people want to look into your face and look into your eyes, and that's it. That's the trick.
oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, and it's so simple,
Yeah,
but
so simple. And then all your clothes coordinate. It's like, oh, well, that's easy then, isn't it? So, and it stops you buying the mistakes, because I would never even look at something in the shops that's cream or lime green or orange or whatever, because I know it's not going to work into my wardrobe.
yeah, it's very true that I'm sure so many of us have got clothes in our wardrobe that we impulse buys, and then when we've looked at it, we're like, actually, am I ever going to wear that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think going back to that whole what we started talking about the first impressions, knowing that you've got that confidence of, especially if you are not confident about going networking, or you maybe are a bit nervous about going and meeting people, but knowing that you're confident in what you're wearing and how you look, you then not, that takes that kind of
Yeah.
nervousness away, because you haven't got that to not be confident about, if that makes
Exactly, and it's about kind of finding clothes and almost a uniform, if you like, your own personal dress code, so that even if it's just I've got 3 outfits I know that I can wear to a client meeting, or I can wear to a networking meeting, and I know I feel really good. I know it projects who I am really, really well. Make a note in your diary which outfit you wear to which occasion, so that you don't always wear the same thing. But that is the way to sort of get started. And if because it's comfort is the most, well, for me, because that's my style personality as well, but comfort is really important for me. And I think it shows on your face if you're not comfortable, and it's not about trying to be something you're not. It's just enhancing who you are and what you've got. But it's also about just then projecting that out into the world in an easy, simple way.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's just, yeah, that's a brilliant message. So thank you so much for sharing that. If people want to find out a bit more about color analysis and the kind of and working with you, what's the best way of finding that out?
Yeah, pop over to my website. So that's gailmorganstyle.com. I've got an offer on till the end of May. So if you wanted to do a virtual colour analysis with me, then there's £30 off or 20% discount. So all the information will be in the show notes that you've got. So yeah, but just pop over there and have a look round.
So how does that work virtually? Because you were saying about draping the colours. So how does it work on a
Well,
ouch.
that was my inspiration during lockdown. So I devised a way of doing it online. So it's very similar. I ask for you to send me some photographs, and I give you guidance as to what sort of photographs I need. It's not just, your holiday snap from Ibiza that I need, but it's a particular kind of photo. And then digitally, I use the drapes with using your photo. And then we look at and you fill in a questionnaire, and then we meet online and we talk through the consultation and what I've seen, and we talk through all sorts of different things, like how to put an outfit together, but also where you might find those colours, which your favourite shops that you could find them. People sit there with their wardrobe around them and show me things through the screen, so we can have a little kind of a session that way as well. And then you get your swatch at the end of it also. I send that to you, so you've got that to look at, to have forevermore. And so that's worth £30. So you've got that to take with you and have in your handbag.
Oh, that is so amazing. I like, because when you talked about it when you after the workshop, I was like, how does that work virtually? But that sounds absolutely brilliant. And what an offer to be able to get that you've put together as well, to get that £30 off. So yeah, check out the show notes, and yeah, just check out, have you got any kind of like guide or anything as well that people
Yes.
really can't not quite in a position to go for a full analysis, that maybe just want to understand a bit more about color and how they can use it?
Yeah, I mean, look at some of my blogs, but also I've got a lead magnet, so which is creating your own style blueprint. So it's thinking about how to use those words, how to use color in your wardrobe to help you achieve your aims, and with that personal branding.
So thank you so much, Gail. If you would like to find out more about Gail's workshop that she did in the membership, it was called Your Style and Impact, Creating the Right First Impression. It's exclusive for the ladies that are in the This Mum Last Take membership, and the link to find out more and join the membership will also be in the show notes, as well as all of the links that Gail has mentioned today. Well, I just want to say a huge thank you, Gail, for coming on today. It's been a brilliant chat, and I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of This Mum Loves Tech.